from trying to figure out where people would live to how they would be able to vote and when all the lights will finally come on. Government officials are still facing multiple fronts in the efforts to recover from Superstorm Sandy. All that, and there's another storm on the way, where to house potentially tens of thousands of people left homeless by the storm is the most pressing crisis, as cold weather sets in. It's not going to be a simple task. It's going to be one of the most complicated and long-term recovery efforts in U.S. history, said Mark Merritt, president of Witt Associates, a Washington crisis management consulting firm founded by former Federal Emergency Management Agency Director James Lee Witt. Sandy killed more 100 people in 10 states but vented the worst of its fury on New Jersey and New York. The week after the storm slammed the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, more than 1 million homes and businesses remain without power. FEMA said it has already dispensed close to $200 million in emergency housing assistance and has put 34,000 people in New York and New Jersey up in hotels and motels. But local, state and federal officials have yet to lay out a specific, comprehensive plan for finding them long-term places to live. And given the scarcity and high cost of housing there and the lack of open space, it could prove a monumental undertaking. With the temperatures dropping into the 30s overnight, people in dark, unheated homes were urged to go to overnight shelters or daytime warming centers. Another storm, the nor'easter packing heavy rain and gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour, was headed for the area Wednesday, threatening more flooding and power outages that could undo some of the repairs made in the past few days. Election officials in New York and New Jersey were guardedly optimistic that power would be restored and most polling places would be open in all but the worst-hit areas. New York Gov. Andrew Cuomo signed an executive order Monday allowing residents to cast a provisional ballot at any polling place in the state for president and statewide office holders, an opportunity New Jersey was extending to voters as well. Just because you are displaced doesn't mean you are disenfranchised, Cuomo said. Compared to what we have had to deal with in the past week, this will be a walk in the park when it comes to voting. Provisional ballots are counted after elected officials confirm the voters' eligibility. Temporary polling places were set up in neighborhoods where the storm had damaged regular polling places. On Tuesday morning, lines could be seen of voters casting their ballots in outdoor tents as police stood guard. CBS station WCBS reported voting was delayed at a location at Rockaway Park in Queens because of a power outage. On Staten Island, workers scrambled at the last minute to set up the polling site Tuesday morning. An hour before the 6 a.m. poll opening, flares were set up at the entrance to Public School 52 in the Midland Beach neighborhood. There was no light at all as police helped the poll workers get gas for their generator. The voting machines had to be retrieved from inside the school and moved into tents, and heaters were stacked on tables in the tents. The temperature was around 29 degrees as bundled-up voters began to line up in the dark. The MTA also said it is providing free voter shuttles on Election Day for people in the Rockaways, Staten Island and Coney Island whose regular polling places were damaged in last week's storm. The shuttle buses will run every 15 to 20 minutes Tuesday in addition to regular bus service and carry voters to alternate voting sites. The buses marked MTA Voter Shuttle will run from 5:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Mayor Michael Bloomberg urged city residents to check the Board of Elections website to find out about polling changes. New Yorkers seeking information about voting, poll site changes and absentee ballots can call toll-free 1-855-NICE-SANDY 1 area code 855-697-7263. Vote. It is our most precious right, Bloomberg said Monday. Staten Island President Paul Hoppe said he probably wouldn't vote. His home, the block from the beach, was uninhabitable, his family was displaced and their possessions were ruined. We've got too many concerns that go beyond the national scene, Hoppe said. New Jersey Division of Elections spokesman Ernie Landau said fewer than 100 polling places around the state were without power compared with 800 just days ago, and said the state has abandoned its earlier plan to use military trucks as makeshift polling places. Most voters will be able to cast ballots at their regular polling sites, he said. Landau also said the state had taken extra steps to make sure people displaced by Sandy's destruction would be able to vote, like allowing authorized messengers to pick up as many mail-in ballots as they request for people in shelters or away from their homes. We are doing everything we can in this extraordinary situation not to disenfranchise voters displaced by Sandy. Their voices and their votes will be heard no differently than anyone else's, Landau said. In Ocean County along the New Jersey coast, officials hired a converted camper to bring mail-in ballots to shelters in Toms River, Pemberton and Burlington Township. Some 75 people in Toms River alone took advantage of the service Monday, officials said. The camper will either continue to serve the shelters or be converted into an emergency voting precinct Tuesday. It's great. This is one less thing I have to think about, said Josephine DeFeis, who fled her home in storm-devastated Seaside Heights and cast her ballot in the camper Monday. New Jersey Gov. Chris Christie's directive that displaced New Jersey residents will be allowed to vote through email and fax was amended under pressure from voting rights advocates. The voters would have to submit a paper ballot along with the electronic filing, the rule the state's military personnel and residents living overseas are required to follow as well.